I don't think there's been a more interesting pandemic for any NFL player more than Earl Thomas. And if I'm wrong, let me know who it is in the comment section down below, because 3 months ago, Earl Thomas was tied up in something else that was extremely weird as well. And by the way, shout out to the video creator that has like 50 subscribers that threatened to sue me if I didn't take down my video on Earl Thomas. Yeah, appreciate that. Worked really hard on that. But for those of you guys that didn't find out what happened, I'll catch you up on everything that happened to Earl Thomas from May all the way to today, where he may even result in getting cut. Now guys, before we get to the content, make sure you smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm, turn on my notifications, and subscribe. I live stream on Twitch on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays at 9 p.m. Pacific time, and if you're watching this video, there's a good chance I'm live streaming right now. My Twitch is twitch.tv/FlightMike. And now that we got all of that out of the way, break! Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? We have a lot to talk about, so I'm going to cut straight to it. So 3 months ago, around May, a report about Earl Thomas came out regarding him and his brother pretty much being involved in a little bit of weirdness. And the story goes like this, and I'll give you a brief summary of it because the video that I originally made on it got taken down. On April 13th, Nina Thomas and Earl Thomas got into a domestic dispute. This dispute resulted in Nina literally holding Earl Thomas at gunpoint. And this is Nina Thomas's story, who is Earl Thomas's significant other, by the way. Nina claims that Earl Thomas left their house earlier that day because they got into an argument over Earl Thomas drinking. And she claims that Seth Thomas, who's Earl Thomas's brother, picked him up. A little bit later, Nina decided to check on Earl Thomas and see where he's at by logging into his Snapchat account. And that's when she found a video of Earl Thomas with another woman. So she used Earl Thomas's Snapchat to figure out his location. Dude, you should have turned off your Snap Maps. And she was able to find Earl Thomas at a nearby Airbnb rental home. And according to Nina, she called up 2 other women to help her confront Earl Thomas at the pad. Nina also grabbed Earl Thomas's 9mm with the intention to quote-unquote scare him. When Nina and her friends arrived at Earl Thomas's Airbnb, they saw Earl and his brother naked in bed with other women. I'm sure you guys could piece it all together, and we get demonetized here way too much, so I'm not going to spell out the details, but I'm sure you guys have the imagination to know what's going on. So at that point, Nina immediately took out the gun and put it towards Earl's head and stated that she took out the magazine thinking that the gun could not fire, but cops say that Nina was unaware that the gun had a round in the chamber. According to Earl Thomas's alleged mistress at the scene, she also claimed that Nina pulled out the gun and threatened her and other women in there and said, quote unquote, "I got something for all you hoes." So yeah, that's where Earl Thomas stands to this day. It's been literally 4 months since the incident, but 3 months since the reporting of the incident. And honestly, Earl Thomas is in a fairly good situation. He's on one of the most competitive teams in the entire NFL that features the NFL's defending MVP. And you can make the argument that he's a very important player on that Ravens defense. Now, the reason I bring up that first story is when that first story about him getting into a domestic dispute with Nina came out, there were talks about the Ravens potentially cutting him. And every single time Earl Thomas does something wrong, the media likes to remind us that Earl Thomas could get cut for any reason. If there's any conduct detrimental to the team, the Ravens could cut him and avoid a $10 million guaranteed salary. On Friday, Earl Thomas and one of his Ravens teammates in the middle of training camp got into a very heated confrontation. And this is according to Jonas Schaefer of the Baltimore Sun. As Schaefer explains it, there was a sideline argument late in the morning practice which became something more than just a sideline argument. Chuck Clark had to be held back by teammates, and Earl Thomas was balling his fists. The situation flashed again later in practice with Marlon Humphrey restraining Clark, and Clark having to leave the practice field. Earl Thomas was sent home after the altercation, and we do have like some very weird and grainy footage of Earl Thomas pumping his fist and throwing his helmet. According to this tweet from Jamison Hensley, there's multiple reports that are confirming that Earl Thomas was sent home yesterday after his on-field altercation with Chuck Clark. This was Earl Thomas's second heated argument with a teammate in the last 2 years with the Baltimore Ravens. Last year, he had words with Brandon Williams after a game. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is during Saturday's practice, Chuck Clark was there, but Earl Thomas was nowhere to be found. And John Harbaugh had this to say on Friday. We'll find out the details of it. It just lasted longer than it needed for me. You're going to have these things in training camp. I think you're going to have tempers flare, sure. It happens every training camp, especially right about now probably. But I don't like them when they extend like that and eat into our reps. And we're going to have to find out why and make sure that doesn't happen. We need to keep our eye on the prize, which is preparing for the Cleveland Browns. According to this tweet from Inside Access 1057, there is mounting frustration amongst Baltimore Ravens defensive backs about Earl Thomas being punctual and focused and not freelancing, which is behind today's skirmish. Some veterans think Deshaun Elliott merits more reps, and Earl Thomas is not the most popular guy in Baltimore. Now, according to Tom Pelissero, the Ravens are back on the practice field this morning, but Earl Thomas is not. And his understanding is that the Ravens told Earl Thomas to stay home today after sending him home Friday following the practice altercation with teammate Chuck Clark. No decisions yet on his status, but keeping Thomas away for now buys time for Baltimore to evaluate its options. Earl Thomas posted this on Instagram and had this to say about the situation. Being sent home sucks. I can't take the reps I need to keep momentum going, but I can reflect on things and keep working my plan to help the team win. This has been one of my best camps. Crazy a situation like this can throw dirt on it. Here is the clip that started the fight. A mental error on my part. A busted coverage that I tried to explain calmly, meet up with built-up aggression, turned into me getting into it with a teammate. Since we didn't keep it in-house and I'm getting text and calls from ESPN reporters, etc., I thought I'd try and clear the air. Situations like this narrow my window for error, but this is the path I choose. Hashtag football school, hashtag training camp, hashtag skin white cat, hashtag focused. So the Ravens are in a bit of a situation, and I see a lot of tweets of Earl Thomas getting manhandled by Derrick Henry. But the fact of the matter is, for that one low point, there's a lot of high points for Earl Thomas on the Baltimore Ravens defense. For example, he had the lowest passer rating allowed amongst safeties in 2019 with 24.2, and the next best safety wasn't even close to him, with Harrison Smith being a 41.7. But at the same time, if someone is a locker room cancer, is he really worth keeping around? That's the question that we all need to ask ourselves. So there is a chance that Earl Thomas could be sent home. If the entire locker room wants him gone, then I could see it happening. And if there's a way to get out of his $10 million guaranteed contract, then it definitely could happen. It's all up to the Baltimore Ravens. Is the return on investment for Earl Thomas worth what they're getting out of him on the field, even if it means the occasional skirmish or the occasional off-the-field issue? Ravens fans, I'm asking you. I can't answer that for myself. Guys, I uploaded my Junior Seau documentary today. YouTube may not show it to you because, well, it's a little bit of a controversial documentary, so I'm going to leave a link to it in the description down below, or you can just see it on your screen as one of the end screen videos if you want to check it out. Put a lot of hours into it, and I know you'll absolutely love it. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping the mic until our next upload.